This is the Two Marketeers podcast, where hosts and marketing experts Sean Patrick and Lindsay Waugh seek to uncover what makes brands so powerful and how they impact modern society and culture.
Two Marketeers. They've got a podcast. The Two Marketeers podcast.
Hello.
Hi.
Why are you laughing?
It's season 3. I'm excited.
We
I
should
feel weird.
I feel weird.
I'm feeling weird inside. I don't know. Like we're about to go off a roller coaster.
I think we are.
We are. Anyway.
Another roller coaster ride. Lindsay, welcome back.
Thank you. Welcome back to you.
We are the Two Marketeers. We are a podcast. We are beginning our 3rd season. We have 50 episodes and over 5,700 downloads. Something happened recently. We don't know what.
Is that a lot? Is that bad? I don't know.
If you Googled it, no, you wouldn't know the answer. It's like, why can't I know if a download is a download? Well, there's no way of knowing. If I'm on Apple Podcasts, on Apple Podcasts, how come I don't know how many subscribers I have? Well, that's because
it's like doing social media and digital 15 years ago when they're like, what does a like mean? And you're like, well, I mean, someone liked it. So that's good, isn't it?
It's good, right? And you're going to pay me based.
Are they going to buy something from us? And we're like, no, probably not.
It's about engagement, digital engagement.
Is it positive? I don't know. They said like. I guess it was the only button at the time. So maybe it's not.
So
I don't know.
As you can see, Lindsay and I are digital marketing experts.
Why do we always laugh when we say that?
It's true because it's true.
It's evolved to be more brand strategy now, where digital is a portion of that. I mean, who's not digital?
I know. I was kind of joking, but I would say we kind of downplay the fact that we've been doing digital in various capacities for combined, I think, pushing 40 years.
4,000 years. Since digital was a petit bébé.
A petit bébé, not a wig. Some of you
Yes.
appreciate the bébé comment.
A petit bébé.
But yeah, season 3, summer off. How was your summer, Lindsay?
Yeah, we left off season 2 talking about the right to disconnect, right? So I kind of disconnected. It was good. I took 3 full weeks off, which, for me is a lot. And it was good.
It's a lot for anybody.
I guess it's a lot for anybody. Yeah, 3 weeks. Woo! Not together. Not together.
Never together.
Separate.
Yeah, very separate.
It was good. Yeah. I actually cleared out some of the well, no, you'll see the jimble jamble still there.
As I'm preparing for my answer to that question, I'm like, I could say it was great. Especially when my sign off was, I'm just not going to worry about it. Like, shit, I'm not going to make it. What is it? I'm not going to make it a thing. And blah, blah.
Baloney.
Exactly.
I was going to say bull something else, and I changed it to bull-loney.
But this is a Disney-rated podcast. Am I allowed to say that? I can say whatever I want.
Well, you're going to have to ask Disney that question.
Okay, I'll call him after this call. Yeah, it was a struggle. I had a great summer. I mean, anyone who would have been around me would have said, what the hell are you complaining about? I took at least 3 weeks off. And then the other weeks, I pretended to be busy. So, yeah, it's an ongoing struggle. Let's talk a little bit about, for anyone new here, let's talk a little bit about us. I mean, I'm a freelancer. What do you do?
Yeah, why was it a struggle? What do you do? What do you do over there? I've asked myself this for our combined 47,000 years. What do you do?
Just me, or is it a general we?
No, you.
Oh, I do a lot. I do a lot of things. What I do is I am a consultant specialized in marketing, specifically with creative and strategy. That's kind of a new gig I've really focused on since COVID started. I know we don't like to refer to it, but hey, let's be honest. Lindsay and I started this podcast probably how many weeks before?
The before times.
Yeah.
The
And
before
then
times.
we adapted and we continued and we turned it virtual because we actually were in a legit podcast studio. It was a lot of fun, and we were just like, let's just try doing this. And then I think, if anything, COVID might have derailed it, but it really helped us to get through it because it was a real sort of light at the end of every tunnel. That was a 2-week period where you could talk to someone and just shoot the shit, shoot the marketing shit.
Be like, on my own again. What do you do? Oh, we're recording. Oh, I should get dressed.
Exactly. I have to brush my scalp today. I think we actually used a cell phone and some kind of recording software the first time. We're like, let's keep this going after we were over the initial
Did we?
trauma.
Was that when I was in the closet? Physically.
You guys really need to listen to some past episodes to put this all
Physically.
into context.
Yeah.
Here we are. So, Lindsay, what are we going to do? What's season 3? Why are you excited about season 3?
Do you want to know what I do, since we talked about what you do?
Oh, it's not all about me. Lindsay, for once, talk about yourself.
Said no one ever. I'm also a consultant. Okay, we're done. Thank you so much. No, I joined Sean Patrick as a freelance consultant 3 years, almost 3 years. In 1 week, it will be 3 years. September 27th.
Which
was
would
the day.
be officially the day you went off on your own.
Yeah, in 2019. So I was like, this is going to be so great. Like, I'll be traveling around and going to people's offices, blah, blah, blah. COVID. Just joke. Yeah, joking. 3 years. 3 years I've been a freelance consultant, brand strategy and marketing communication. So Sean and I partnered together on projects as well as this refreshingly entertaining podcast.
Well done. She's doing some brand language there.
Brum-chum.
Broomch. So as we go into season 3, I hope you guys can tell we're pretty excited. So what are we going to do different this year, Lindsay? What do you want me to do differently this year, Lindsay?
So many things. Be nicer to me.
Okay.
Bring coffee over.
Okay.
I don't know. Well, I think what has spurred what we're going to do differently, which is really continue to explore further the human experience, how marketing's impacted by society and culture, and vice versa, how society and culture impacts marketing and communications. And the way that we got to what we were going to do differently this year and diving into those things is we just kind of stepped back and said, over these 2 years of doing this podcast, what do we love talking about? Like, what is this about? What are we really talking about? What do we want to explore? What are we excited about? And I think the thread, or like the through line of our episodes, the ones that we felt were really, really good and fun and exciting for us to record, was that kind of human element, whether it was human design, human experience, culture, what are people going through, and based on what they're going through, what's the role of brands in their lives. So we were like, that's it. Because at the beginning, season 1, we were like, what do you want to talk about? It was this random topic and it was more kind of topical things. But I think what we've really discovered is this human experience and culture and marketing as part of that is what we're really, really excited about.
Exactly. And we feel that that's something worth caring about. I think it's the whole, what I'll say, Lindsay has said in the past, she could be a cultural anthropologist, and there's still time. So think about it.
I am going to do that.
Right. It's the whole anthropology is where we both saw a real commonality. Her with both of us with the psychology, but her going really not into just as it relates to marketing, it's understanding people. And I think, again, the benefit of what's happened over the last 2 years, not with us, but with COVID, is the entire industry, those that are progressive, understand that it's all about a human experience, and you need to understand the human experience. You can no longer paint a brush across 40 plus females, head of household, who live in the suburbs. Because
who is that?
Exactly. There's such diversity, and we now are, really moving towards embracing our diversity and the diversity of others. On top of that, we have all this data that we never had before. On top of that, we've had huge behavioral shifts. Behavioral shifts. It's because I say it with a U as a Canadian. That
behavioral.
there's so much more marketing does and needs to do as it relates to impacting culture. And marketing now, I think we both think, has taken a step away as marketing for the sake of selling a product. And it's about marketing for the sake of connecting with a human, gaining their trust, and supporting them based on what they need. I got goosebumps. That's marketing? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
what
brands have
are.
they have a big job to do now.
Yeah.
It's no longer like, here's your granola bar and $1. Why do I always go to granola bars? Here's your granola bar and $1 off coupon. It's like, it's more about what that is providing to people and how that provides extra value in their lives based on what that brand does for them. So, and that's a huge thing for brands to take on, because I think now with COVID and data and digital and everyone being at home and accessible and having really high expectations, it's like, well, what do I do with all of that? And a lot of people, even if we talked about this last season as well, even if you're a CMO with 25 years of marketing experience at a massive global brand, our instincts are confused, because it's like, we could be here, we could be here, we could be doing this, we could be doing this. There's this insight over here, this is, what do I do that's going to be the most hyper relevant thing and the most value I can provide to people? And so even very seasoned people, whether you're a day-to-day consumer of goods and that's how you look at marketing, or whether you're a CMO with 25 years of experience, guidance and relevance and insight are still very valuable to you and interesting, I think, in today's times.
Yeah, and I think what it's allowed us to do is, as freelancers, as consultants on our own, we do look at things through a more, what I'll say, objective lens, because we are not wrapped up into, we have to sell more product to keep our jobs. In fact, we're there to really keep an eye on understanding, well, I can relate. What can I relate to? How can we're all consumers. We all participate and know to some extent what marketing is, where there was a point marketing was, the man behind the curtain, Mr. Oz himself. And it's a known fact. So it's sort of like it always happens. But right now, risk averse has now flipped. To be risk averse meant you didn't do what Lindsay was talking about. You didn't make the investment in understanding how are they feeling? Are we talking to consumers? Are we relating to them? Because what we really want to do is win them over and earn their trust. Very few, I shouldn't say that. A lot of marketers have evolved that way, but those who are hesitant to do that were risk averse. Reason for this podcast and where we hope it goes is, if you don't start looking at the importance of brands and the role they can play for communities, for culture and society, and the responsibility that they can have within that, then you're being risk averse by not starting to move in that direction. You're taking huge risks by thinking that marketing is just for the sake of selling a product to a customer or a consumer.
Well said. So we've been talking about the different topics around like human experience and things that we're going to bring forward in season 3. But I think the other thing that's interesting about season 3 is we're going to dive more into our experience within society and the world now. So we're both freelancers, we're consultants, we're entrepreneurs. We live through the gig economy. We see people going through the great resignation. We see quiet quitting. Our first episode is going to be around the valuing yourself as a freelancer, what that means. So there's not only our expert role in how you design a brand experience and a brand strategy to be successful today, but also our role within how we're working today. So being a freelancer, being a consultant, what that's like, and helping to provide some of that point of view to people who may be thinking about doing a similar thing, so that we can share what we go through as we share our expertise on brands and marketing.
Yeah, and when you look at what it is we cover, I think, not to generalize, but I mean, that's true of anyone who's a freelancer, anyone who gets paid an hourly rate for what they do, and all of a sudden by doing that becomes someone who needs to know how to run a business, and someone that needs to do a lot more than what you may have done in your role as an employee. But what's really interesting, even if we stay within marketing, we're talking freelance designers, we're talking freelance copywriters, we're talking freelance strategists, we're talking every role you can imagine. We're all experiencing this at the same time. And I wonder that there's not a lot of time for us to talk about it, to share.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I think that's what we're really looking forward to. And like Lindsay said, our next episode is really, I'm bringing in my expertise as someone who has been on and off freelance, probably for a culmination of about 15 to 20 years, but over a 30-year period. So I did do agency, and to say, we think of it as an absolute decision, but sometimes it's about understanding. And as much as we think the whole world has changed and there's this thing called a gig economy and all that, it was always a thing, but now it's really a thing. And it's like, you know, someone like me might be able to impart a bit of wisdom. I always try and look at things as, and Lindsay does the same thing. We all think everything's changing right now and this is unprecedented and blah, blah, blah. And we know that it's like a strategist, look it up. Historically, things like this have happened before, and it's good to kind of have that understanding. As I say, standing on the shoulders of giants, it's good to have an understanding that, you know, not everything is absolutely 100% brand new. You know, and that's again, the human experience, hot topic, nothing new. The human experience has always been there, but now with everything around us, what's so exciting to us in our years dabbling in user experience, communications, marketing communications, even a bit of PR, understanding your audience, understanding what they need, which is really what I would say very traditional marketing. What's different is there are so many new ways to measure that, to measure things beyond just sales numbers, things like sentiment. So it's this real psychological, philosophical, anthropological, exciting thing where the human experience more than ever can be impacted by what many of us know as marketing. And I think we need to look at that as so exciting, with open eyes and completely receptive to new ideas, new challenges, new conversations.
Boom.
Wow. My soapbox is a little...
I know. I thought you were taller. You're standing on something. Well, clearly we are very pumped up, so.
Couple of highlights. Lindsay's going to be actually doing an episode where she talks about learning as you go, becoming a rock star on TikTok.
Oh my God.
A rock star brand.
That's even, so with everything that we do, everything that I've done, starting a business, quitting an amazing job, talking to clients, doing presentations, flying around, doing whatever, the most vulnerable I feel is starting this TikTok. I'm like, oh, damn. Like we have recorded hundreds.
You missed parenting.
Oh, they're fine. They're doing great. They're doing great. But like we have recorded hundreds of hours of video content where it's kind of a vulnerable, but you just let it go. Like you don't care. I'm assuming the same thing is going to happen with TikTok, where right now I'm like, I don't want to do it. Like I think that it's going to be great. And I'm really nervous about that.
But it feels good.
But we are going to talk about it. What does that feel like?
Yes.
Launching a new brand on TikTok. What do you do? How do you start? How do you figure out what you talk about? Like, and we're very obviously insight and culture and consumer driven, which is like what TikTok is about. Like, what are the trends? How do you figure it out?
Yeah.
So we are going to talk about that even as we go through it.
And I think we'll do a bit of the same thing throughout the season to finally say, we have to recognize, main thing that's different is some would call us podcast experts because of the 100 hours of recordings and the 50 plus episodes, the 6,000 downloads. You notice how the number's going up as that
I know.
progresses?
Did you just change that?
I did, 300 more.
I'm
sure it's
downloads.
that.
What's 20,000 downloads? Don't worry about it.
Whatever. 50,000 likes. Anyways, and we have commitment to some properties. We have our website. The Two Marketeers are now on TikTok, and we're on LinkedIn, and we're even on YouTube. So shit.
Yeah, oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
We know we went from always joking about we have no idea what we're doing, is we can't say that anymore. we have some idea of what we're doing. We just don't know if it's right. That's vulnerable. Apparently people like vulnerability.
That's the
in
thing.
others.
That's the thing. It's like with imposter syndrome. People think they're going to get to a spot where they're not vulnerable. Good luck. Like that is not going to happen.
Yeah. As Brene Brown would pretty much, I'm not quoting her, but as a bit of a fan of her early stuff, it's vulnerability is the human condition. It is what makes us human, and you cannot run away from it.
Is that what she says?
Yeah, that's how she started. Like, she was this researcher who was like, how do we deal with avoiding feeling vulnerable? What is it? And she did all these years. She was a researcher and did all these and realized, holy crap, vulnerability. You can't. She literally went into this kind of like crazy, what do I do? I've spent my career to date doing this. And then she realized it is inevitable. So what do you do with that?
Well, that's what another thing that I have been talking to people for the last 2 years about with regards to brand strategy and brand work. You think you're going to get to enough data where you feel comfortable making a decision. That's not going to happen. You're not going to get to this magical place that says 100% concrete, this is what we should do now.
Yeah.
Strategy is part science and it's part art. That's what happens. There's instinct, there's gut, there's experience, there's shifting and agility. Like, you need to be able to have that type of mentality, because there will not be a day that you get to that you have enough data to give you a solid answer as to what to do next.
And the very same applies to creativity. It was a big struggle with me when I was a designer. I mean, I still design, but I had to understand there's a point where you don't have all the information to ensure a perfect design, a perfect solution. And you have to know, if you're good at what you do and how you get better, is you have to have a process that says, that's enough, and I got to do with what I can. Time for the art. Enough science, it's time for the art. And Lindsay and I would always say, oh, she's the science on the art. We shift over, but I honestly think that's what makes us such a perfect combination, is we both cross that line. And as I say more than ever, it's being equally creative, and it's about being equally strategic, and just knowing when that plays the right role.
Because I'm like, I did glass blowing last night. I'm the creative now. Move over.
You're glass blowing now?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you how the pottery was going.
Pottery schmottery. Okay, that was last week.
Yeah. Awesome.
No, I did one glass blowing workshop, and it scared the crap out of me. So we're done. I better never break that wine glass I made, because I am not doing it again.
Okay. Awesome. Well, we're pumped. I'm so excited.
Looking forward
Lindsay.
to it. Can't wait.
I'm about to go on a long trip, so I'm not going to say where, because I'm tired of talking about it, but I'll tell you about it when I get back.
Can't wait.
We got some TikTok editing to do.
We have TikTok editing to do. We launch episodes every 2 weeks, so you'll start to see that come up. And if there's anything you want to know about, leave us a comment, and we will explore as we get into human experience.
See you next episode when we talk about valuing yourself and your talent as a freelancer, self-employed individual.
Sounds great. See you then. Happy season 3.
Bye, Marketeers.
Bye, Marketeers. Thanks for listening to the Two Marketeers podcast. New episodes launch every 2 weeks.
Find the Two Marketeers podcast on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever you like to listen. And be sure to rate and subscribe.
Listen on our website, thetwomarketeers.ca, or you can ask Alexa to play the Two Marketeers podcast.
Want to keep in touch? Follow the Two Marketeers on LinkedIn or at Two Marketeers on TikTok. We've always got something to share.
This podcast is over.